going to roll with this. Hello, everyone. I'm Aurora Newton.
And I'm Angie Bailey. And this is SCA Team.
And
we have so much fun.
We do. We're just going to roll with it. We're just going to keep going. This has just been a silly day for us. Today we're going to talk about having the courage to speak the truth in love. And Angie just had to tell me, stop worrying about where your shirt is and the way your hair is. You're the only one that's going to notice it. Whew, shoo. She did it in love, though. I do have to say that she did it in love.
Yeah.
It is hard sometimes to open your mouth and say what you really feel, because maybe life has taught you that when you open your mouth, it's painful. We talked about sharing some of our testimony. I was in some very abusive relationships in my life, and I opened my mouth at times, and there was a hit that came with it, or a shove, or some pretty bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And that taught me for a very long time to keep my mouth shut, that I need to just not speak what's on my mind, because it could be painful. And probably at that time, I wouldn't have said it with the right heart either. And that's important when we talk about speaking, having the courage to speak. We need to have the courage to speak, but we need to do that in love. We need to do that with our right heart, and not in anger, not lashing out, not in frustration at another person, but in love.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I thought of when you said that was like Pavlov's dog.
Oh, yeah.
Of when
how
we're conditioned.
She's getting all sciencey on me. She's getting all psychology. She's been hanging around me way too much.
I've taken a few classes.
She's taken a few classes.
I'm educated. But I thought of that, and how we can be conditioned that when we speak truth, or we have to say something, if it comes with any kind of backlash, that we can really be conditioned for that. But then I also think that when we start breaking out of that, they say to speak even when your voice is shaking.
Yes.
I know I've done that a lot of my life.
Many times, yeah.
I think I was a little opposite. Sometimes I think when I was a little girl, my mom would just wish sometimes, Angie, just stop speaking now, because you're not. And I've always kind of done that. I've always taken it, a step further in speaking the truth. It hasn't always been in love. But sometimes, when you're just supposed to speak the truth, and you have to do it. And even when it's really, really hard to do, that it's so, so important. Because it's going to give life to somebody, that it could actually set somebody else free.
It save their life.
It could save their lives, and or change the direction of an entire, your destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, whether it's in your workplace, it could change the outcome of a situation, of a project.
Absolutely.
It could change your family, speaking the truth, and not just for the sake of saying, I'm right.
Yeah.
That's the place that I used to come from. It's like, it was just on principle, and I'm justice driven, and I just have to say it. But it's to set the captives free.
Absolutely.
Sometimes speaking the truth is to set yourself free. Yeah. So I think that sometimes finding the courage for it, sometimes you don't feel courageous until after the fact.
Absolutely.
So just going for it is so important. And I think a lot of prayer, a lot of not overthinking it too.
Right.
That's what I do a lot, is I'll overthink.
That rehearsal that we talked about in one of our segments.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, we can rehearse it over and over again.
Right. I'll think about that over and over again, and make it bigger than what it is.
Right. Yeah.
And so, and reminding myself what the truth is, because if I make it something bigger than what it is, then maybe I'm the one varying from the truth. So, and then also, when it is a difficult person or a difficult situation, or you've been offended, to go to that person, even that's even biblical. Matthew tells us to go to that person.
That's right.
And talk to them. Hopefully that will be a good outcome, but if it is not, then you take someone else with you the next time.
Right. That's right. And we really hold each other accountable to that. We do. We've talked about that before. There are difficult people, even in our lives now. Every day we deal with difficult people, and Ange and I hold each other accountable to that, to speak that truth. Sometimes I wait, though. I have to tell you, I really have learned to trust the spirit in my life, to know when I'm supposed to go to someone and when I'm not. And when I pray into a situation, a lot of times I have found praying into that situation, that person comes to me and they say, you know what? I just want you to know I'm really sorry that I treated you that way. And I didn't have to say anything at all. So there's a really fine balance or a fine line in when you've been conditioned to not speak and to shut down, and when you need to have the courage to speak, or when you're just really trusting to be led by the Spirit and to speak, in love. So I think that there's just a real fine balance in that, and we have to weigh that out. I test it with Ange. I'll say to her, okay, if I need to, if I need to do something here, you need to let me know. And I know she feels the same way about that, because I did struggle so long with not speaking, because I was shut down, or I would blow up, and because I let everything build up, and then I finally blew up, and it wasn't really the thing right there that was the issue. It was all the stuff that I had stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked. So we need to make sure that we're cleaning our own heart out, that we're giving forgiveness, but that we are having courage to say the difficult things when we need to say them, but to say them in love, because Scripture also tells us to be careful, because that could be us. That could be us dealing with that very same situation. So we always need to walk that in humility and in love.
I like what you said, to clean our own hearts out. And if we keep that clean, then the truth won't be so hard to find.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, because we can hoard things in our own heart.
Yes, we can.
And if we can keep that clean and keep that purged and keep all those things, then you open yourself up. And when you open your mouth up, what's going to come out?
Goodness.
Truth.
Yeah.
And goodness. Absolutely.
Well, we hope that gave you a little courage to speak when you need to, or to hold your tongue when you need to as well. Remember, always prayer first. Just that if you pray, it unlocks things.
Yes.
It sets your own heart right. Sometimes the challenge isn't that you need to speak courageously to someone else, but you need to speak to yourself courageously and say, you know what? You need to get your heart right. So we just challenge you to do that today. Get your heart right.
Yeah.
Have the courage to speak when you need to. Have the courage to hold your tongue when you need to. And have an accountability buddy. It's so important.
It is so important. Yeah. They help you clean things out too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes. And have a good day.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.